Hello world, Spencer Cooley here, and in this video I'm talking about something new I've created called the Wooboo world. The Wooboo world is a browser-based 3D character and world builder where you go through various steps using AI prompts and UI components to design your Wooboo and design the world that your Wooboo lives in. The Wooboo is sort of a blobbish Wooboo-like character where you can take your imagination and project it onto the Wooboo and create your own Wooboo reality. So going into this hackathon, I wanted to create something that involved multiple integrations, since integrations is one of the categories of the judging of the hackathon. So I decided to, throw a little bit of AI in there, throw a little bit of 3D in there, and throw a little bit of backend development in there. So I just wanted to go over the tech stack real fast. Of course, on the front end, we're using Svelte and Svelte Kit since this is the Svelte Hackathon. And I just use that for all the basic UI components like the sliders and the buttons and all that kind of stuff. And I use a UI library called Svelte Material UI, and it has a lot of nice stuff right out the box to get you started on whatever you're building. And then for all the 3D stuff, of course, this is Three.js, and the eyes are a GLSL shader that I wrote, and you adjust all the sliders so that the eye will have different variations for every Wooboo that's created. This is a Wooboo somebody else created, and they have sort of bony flesh type of skin with a mountainous background and this sort of green organic floor. This is a Wooboo that I created, and the eyes are a lot more dark and minimal and simple. And this is ink Wooboo. He lives in the ink world, He's like an inky writer Wooboo. He's made out of feathers, all that kind of stuff. And the endpoint that this pulls from is right here. So if you look at it, you'll see for this is the Wooboo it's describing right here. The prompt was they wanted the skin to be flesh-like, and the prompt for the background was mountains in the back. It's pretty simple. And these are all the values they picked for the eyes with the sliders. And this is what their Wooboo came out as. Okay, so that's Svelte on the front end with Three.js, and then on the back end, we are using FastAPI. And FastAPI is nice because it actually generates this documentation for you automatically. As you develop, it's automatically creating documentation because you define all your schemas, and it all comes through here. So the coolest endpoint I made here, of course, I have all my Twitter authentication stuff. I have but the coolest endpoint's right here, the generator endpoint, and you tell it with the type. You could say skin, or you could say environment, and then it'll generate that using, for the skin, it uses replicate.com API, which I'm connecting to a stable diffusion model, which is a text to image model. So you just type what you want the skin to look like. It'll return to you an image pattern. I have it set up to only return patterns, seamless patterns. For the environment, I'm using Blockade Labs API, and Blockade Labs has created an amazing platform where you just describe what you want your skybox to look like, and it returns to you pretty nice detailed things. So if we look at this is the mountainous one that we're looking at here, these mountains. This is AI generated by the user simply typed mountains in the back. And that on the back end, that's using Python. And for the database, I'm using Postgres and connecting to that using SQL Alchemy. And then I'm also making database migrations with Alembic, a library called Alembic, which database migrations are basically version control for your database schema. So if you want to add a table and then later you're nah, I don't need that table, you just roll it back real easily without having to touch the database. You just have all your migrations in place. So yeah, that's the stack. We have Python on the back end, Svelte on the front end, Three.js for the 3D, GLSL for the shaders. Good to go. Even though I made this for a hackathon, I definitely plan on continuing to add more features. I already started on a JavaScript class that lets me use the Xbox controller to have the Wooboo walk around, and you can use the Xbox or you can use your keyboard, either one. I imagine in the future I'm going to create lots of features. Like I'm imagining kind of a combination of an open world game format with mini games built into it, sort of like Zelda meets Grand Theft Auto meets Spore. Really like the game Spore. I was thinking of even doing some sort of thing where you could breed the Wooboos and like new Wooboos arise, and then maybe like that's like a dual ownership Wooboo. Like the two people who created that Wooboo will both have certain control factors over the Wooboo, whether it be, you know, playing certain games, exploring certain worlds. I also want to connect all the Wooboo worlds together through portals. I was thinking of maybe he gets like a blob, some sort of blob, and he just throws it on the ground, and then like it just starts boiling, and then he just jumps into it and goes wah, 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 wah. And then he ends up in you know, his best friend's Wooboo world. And then in that Wooboo world, maybe there's unique experiences, and each Wooboo world will have its own unique experiences, its own treasure hunts. I'm just thinking of a bunch of stuff, but I'm just gonna kind of add things, be practical about it. Like if I want to make the portals, I'll make the portals. Like I said, I'm already working on the game controller and the keyboard controls and all that. So pretty soon the Wooboo will be able to walk around in its little world. I'm just going to continue to add things. So there you go. If you haven't created Wooboo yet, go to woobooworld.com, sign in with your Twitter, and create a Wooboo today. I included all the links to the technologies mentioned in this video in the description below. Please subscribe. If you ever have any questions, you could always reach out to me on Twitter @CooleyArts. Stay creative and stay tuned for more updates to the Wooboo reality.